Loud That Noise podcast. My name is Tiera, your lovely host, and today I'm actually joined, for the audio users, I'm here with my friend's cat. Her name is Mamacita. For visual people, you may see her coming in and out of frame at some point. And on today's episode, what I wanted to talk about was the fact that everything that you want is on the other side of fear. And I wrote down a couple of talking points that I wanted to address. And for starters, the first one is the fear for me of moving to the Pacific Northwest with no job and no friends. And then the fear of cutting my hair super short. And then lastly, the fear of being seen and judged by people. And then some examples I provided of things that are on the other side of fear. I said the life that you want, the opportunities you want, and the results that you crave. And yeah, I also thought it would be interesting to write down each takeaway that I had from each point. So again, for those people on audio, I have a notebook here that I wrote down some of my takeaways, and I'll just be kind of referencing that. And just to start with the first one, with my fear of moving to the Pacific Northwest with no job and no friends, I knew that I knew that regretting not trying would be worse than being away from friends and not having a job. And what I also realized is that there were solutions, and are in this current time right now, solutions to those fears, which are remedied by me going to events to meet new people, and then also working for the family landscaping business to begin to start making money and to make sure that I have a place to stay. And honestly, some of my favorite memories have been going to new events and meeting new people. I would say my first event that I went to that was initiated by myself when I moved to Seattle was a gay queer boxing event hosted by Let's Talk About It. And you can find her socials on Instagram, TikTok, and I believe that's the only platform she has right now. But the really cool thing about them is that they have grown so much in the last 6 months, and I think it's amazing. And most recently, I went to a gay soccer event that was at a local park, and it was free. It ended up having such an amazing turnout that we ended up staying there for much longer, and I'm just thankful for having those spaces that are free and or very affordable. I'm talking $5 to $15 for any of the events that they're hosting, and I think it's really cool because for me, for a long time, I wasn't really surrounded by a queer culture and wasn't really around anyone or many people that were queer. So it was nice to not be the token queer. It was nice to be surrounded by people that get it and that get the energy and be out of my comfort zone a little bit. Sure, I played soccer before, but it had been since 2019, which was the last time that I had played. And unfortunately, the last time I had played was when I had broken my ankle playing this vets versus, or oldies versus the kids that were there now. And it was a very fun match, but unfortunately it ended in tragedy. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to go to that event, the gay soccer event, is because I wanted to rewrite that history, and I was very excited to do that. And I was able to get some good defense in there. I think the first match I went into, I was definitely a bit more stressed, and I definitely should have eaten a full meal. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I just kind of made a rookie mistake there, forgetting that, I'm going to be running. I need to not be weighed down. Excuse me for the yawn. I need to not be weighed down, but I need to be fueling with some quick carbs that are not too heavy, like a banana or some sort of fruit, just so I don't have an empty stomach, but not a full meal like rice, kale, chicken. That was a mistake. But I know for next time, which I have an upcoming event. Actually, when this podcast is set to release, I'm supposed to be at the next event, so that's going to be really cool. And also, happy Pride. Happy Pride. I think for me, I saw recently at the Pacific Place, there was a couple of drag queens that came out to perform and just really showcase what it means to be queer and what it means to be in your identity. And I felt really emotional by their speech at the end, because I think for me, I had always been maybe hiding or, in fear of things, but now I'm accepting myself a bit more, and I'm realizing what it means to be gay, and I don't have to fit in this certain mold, but I think that's really beautiful. And again, I was able to now invite a couple friends as well to come back to the next soccer event. So that's gonna be really cool. Hopefully they can make it. And yeah, it's just great. I've done so many things by taking that leap of faith. And the scariest part, honestly, was leaving my mom at the train station. So I took a 50-hour journey from Chicago, Illinois, the Amtrak Union Station, to my first stop was at the PDX. I think no, not PDX. Excuse me, the Portland, Oregon Amtrak stop, and I had a layover there for 2 hours before I connected and had another 2 hour journey from that station to King Street Station in Seattle, and that was on Christmas Eve, and that was around 5 p.m. on that day, and it felt very terrifying because, excuse me, okay, that's a yawn, and it felt so scary because of the fact that I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I knew that I enjoyed my time that I've been to Seattle the previous 3 times, and I knew that I also wanted to try something new. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for Chicago and I'm thankful for family, but I knew that that was not a place that I wanted to stay at, and I was just thankful ultimately that I was able to get a job in the meantime and work while I was there. But something about Seattle was so attractive to me from the very first moment I stepped foot here. Something about it was very enticing. And 2 years later, after visiting, or not even 2 years, not even 2 full years later, I live here and it's amazing. And I'm just thankful that my older brother, created a space for me to stay with him while I figure out what's going on. And so we can also help each other out in growing and building. And the really nice part about that all is that, as much as it may have been scary to leave my mom and dad and all my friends back home, it was reassuring knowing that I had my older brother there, which I hadn't seen very frequently in the past, 10 years, 8 to 10 years, because he was in New York at first and then he went to Washington. So it was great because now I'm able to hang out with him, and then on top of that, also hang out with my dog nephew. And then, I've been able to meet people through him and make connections through him, and that's really cool. And even the clients that we meet with landscaping, it's so unique and interesting talking about different stories and different experiences they have. And yeah, it's a very challenging job, but ultimately I'm thankful for all those experiences, and I wouldn't have them if I was being the scaredy cat that didn't want to try anything new. And I think for me, even if I am scared, I'm still likely to do something, whether it ends up being good or bad. I don't know. I mean, I'm always just erring on the side of, well, I'd rather know what it feels like than not. And an example I can give of that is when I cut my hair into an undercut. So I'd been asking my parents for a while in high school, hey, can I get a patch underneath my nape, like underneath my, by the neck? Can I get that cut out? Because I thought, one, back there, for my curly hair people, really tight curls, that area would be just hell because it would tangle up and then you have to comb it out, and then sometimes it would get lint in it if you're not really paying attention, and then combing it would just be a nightmare. So I thought, well, I can eliminate all that issue and also create some breathability on my neck because I'm always putting my hair up anyway by just cutting the undercut. But my parents weren't about that life. So when I got to college, probably I'd say a year in, maybe a year in or so, maybe not even a year. I'd say a year in. About a year in, I finally went to the barber, said, hey, cut it. And I cut it, and I had that undercut up until 2023 when I decided to cut all of my hair off and do it short, and it's been that way ever since. And that just kind of segues me into the next topic, which I said I was, scared of cutting my hair super short. What I was saying is that segued into me being afraid of cutting my hair super short. And honestly, the reason why I was so afraid of cutting my hair really short and embracing change is because of the fact that growing up, especially as a black little girl, it was very common to have people throw the insult that you're bald headed. And for curly hair, if you know anything about curly hair typically shrinks up to half or like half its size basically. it shrinks to half its size. Because for the video people right now, like even my hair, when it's curly, if I comb it out, it's gonna raise up. But now that it's in its curly, relaxed state, it's tighter and closer to my skull. And that happens until you have enough length for it to elongate. And when you grow up hearing comments like, oh, you're bald headed or you don't have any hair, when in reality you do, it, for me, created this defensive state of constantly having to prove that I have hair. And because women need to have long hair to feel feminine enough. And in reality, I think it just created a bunch of insecurities around my own hair, my natural hair for me, to the point where I even got a perm back in 5th grade. And that's so young to be putting chemical treatments in your hair. And then I didn't take care of it, so then I really was bald headed for a second. But then that whole trauma made me just start wearing my hair up in 2 buns. I would put boxes in the front, and then I would put my hair into buns. And I pulled it so tight that it just, ended up causing issues later down the line. But it just goes to show that a lot of what you hear can be internalized and then cause problems that are super serious down the line. And if you would have told me that I would deal with these issues years and years after hearing those things in middle school, I probably would have thought that you were lying to me, but that's just not the case. The sad reality is that I'm still dealing with the repercussions of those insecurities, which led me to do certain hairstyles, which led me to ultimately be so plagued by the fear of people seeing my hair short as a woman that I resorted to neglecting my hair health and then ultimately causing some damage, which, yeah, I need to involve professional dermatologists and things of that nature to make sure that I can bring my hair health back. And that's another reason why I've kept my hair low for the last 3 years, because I was like, well, I know that if I keep it low, then I can't possibly put any tension on it, And it also helps too, because sometimes I get these headaches, and I don't know if anybody out there experiences this, but for me, sometimes that headache is on my head and it just feels like it's in my skull. And to have no hair on my head makes it better, because the thought of having hair weighing down on my scalp does not sound fun during those times. Excuse me. But I would say, honestly, I started to really embrace my facial features a little bit more when I had cut my hair down low. And, for the longest time, my friends were telling me, cut your hair and dye it blonde. And I thought, you guys are crazy. My hair, at a certain point, I'll have to put a picture in for the video people. At a certain point, my hair was down my back. And I didn't realize that. And that's with the undercut still under there. So your hair has to be pretty long for it to pass. I'm pointing to a section in the back of my nape, just showing about how thick it was, but about that much space, about 4 inches of space or so at the bottom of my nape, and then hair still going down that to reach down my back. That means my hair is pretty long. And I hadn't realized that until I got my hair professionally straightened and trimmed, because there were split ends, up the wazoo, whatever they say, or up the wazoo. And yeah, it didn't really dawn on me that I had been hiding behind my hair for so long, up until I started to change things slowly. I started off with rebranding my glasses. I got clear glasses frames, and that upped my confidence too, because I think my glasses were just not me before. They were just like, oh, they're fine. I could see. Once I got clear glasses, my confidence went up, and I can't even imagine how to define the amount of confidence I gained by just switching my glasses. But that really made a big impact in how I perceive myself, especially because before I would rather just not see than have glasses on that were ugly. But to have glasses that I actually like, that was perfect. And yeah, it ended up being a really perfect time, to be honest, of just enjoying experimentation. I told myself that, you know what, I know that at some point I am going to want to cut my hair down, So the summer of 2023, I started off by dyeing it with box dye. And the goal was to get it to be this honey blonde color. What I didn't realize is that my hair is very dark naturally, and it would take a lot to lift it to a honey blonde color. So what ended up happening is that it just lifted to this brownish red color, which I didn't mind, especially when I had longer hair, because it kind of worked. Um, and it was cool to see it. And then eventually, I went to get it straightened, and it was cool to see the different variations in tone. And the dresser was telling me a little bit about why some spots took a little bit lighter than others, and I thought that was interesting. And then she was just telling me how to take care of it because it was now colored, and processed. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm planning on cutting it off anyway. So then, what? 2 months passed by, and I end up dyeing it again. I believe just the roots, just to make sure that they're all cohesive and everything. And then I go to the barber to cut my sides off here, and then I have basically a whole perimeter around, like basically a high top kind of vibe, but just a little bit longer. And that was fun because it just allowed me to experiment like I wanted to. Then after that, I decided to cut my hair down to this Miles Morales type level, but it didn't turn out how I wanted to. It may have just been a miscommunication on my end and the barber's end, because I had some new growth of the undercut, and I thought, okay, he can try and blend that into the hair. Now, I think if he was having an issue, if he was having an issue blending the hair, then I wish he would have just said that and then took me lower. But instead, I went home. Again, I'll have to insert a picture for the visual people, but it truly took me into a state of distress, because like this is just feeling disconnected and not fun. So the very next day, when I said the very next day, I'm not kidding you, I went the very next day and I told the barber, hey, just cut me down to wavelength and I'm gonna go from there. And that was the start of this journey. And then 2 weeks or so later, I bleached my hair for the first time with the help of my friend who does hair, and I haven't looked back. I've been bleaching my hair ever since, and I've learned so much compared to that first day. And I'm just so glad, because also I think the blonde really complements my skin, especially in the summer. And I've been able to try some fun colors. I've tried pink, blue, orange, green, and I've even tried the reddish color on my hair too from the box day. And I think it's just super fun to have those experiences, because now I'm getting the itch out. I'm getting over the fear of cutting my hair and having it being short. Instead, I'm just embracing it, because not only is it cool to have it short because I get to not have tension on my edges and everywhere and scalp, it's also cool because I get to, dang, what was I even gonna say? I don't even know. But I also get a lot of compliments too. A lot of people that are being inspired to cut their hair short. And I think if I can encourage women, especially, to cut their hair short and stop thinking that they have to have long hair to be beautiful, then I think that's amazing right there. And yeah, I realized I had some takeaways that I wanted to hit on from what I wrote down. And yes, I noticed that hair grows back. Also, I love the convenience of short hair. My head gets cold easier in winter, but wash days and styling are so much simpler. And I also get to save, because I had like a leave-in conditioner for 5 months or 6 months, and I paid not that much for it, and that was amazing. Because sometimes I only need 1 or 2 products to style and go. Also, like I said, the experimentation with hair dye, bleach, without too much worry about damage, because I know that I can cut it off or do repairing treatments and then cut it off later. It makes me feel much better knowing that it's not this incredibly long-term thing, or I didn't spend years growing my hair for it to just fall out later. But also, like I said, a new confidence is unlocked, because once I stopped hiding behind bandanas and old protective hairstyles, like the twists and the braids, then I really was able to embrace like me and my face instead of hiding behind twists, hiding it up here. I think I was just able to I was able to be seen, and I think that's beautiful. I can't remember if I was saying it or not. for the audio people, but I have a friend, a furry friend here, Mamacita. She's a cat. She's 11 years old. They can see her tail for the video people in the frame probably, and yeah, excuse that, my ankle's popping. But so we're on to the last topic, and that's so crazy. But yeah, the last thing is the fear of being seen and judged by people. That was the thing that I really had to get over, because everything I want is on the other side of fear, right? And man, in 2024 November, I truly dedicated myself to starting to post and putting myself out there and getting the reps in. And now I'm doing challenges where I'm posting every day for 100 days, or posting every day for 87 days for Ariana Grande's tour, you know, the countdown to her tour and then the countdown during her tour. And that is something I would never have thought I would have ever said. And I've gotten so many cool interactions and so many cool conversations out of that. And also been able to creatively think and brainstorm about different things to talk about each day, which is also really good for my brain to stay active and challenged. And also, yeah, it makes me excited to think about these ideas, knowing that maybe her team is thinking about doing that idea, you know. Mamacita wants some pets. And yeah, it's amazing. And I think that what I took away too is that being seen is a beautiful thing. And for the right person, my personality is not too much, it's just enough, and they're okay with it. It's so funny me reaching over Mamacita to turn the page for the video people. But yeah, I think I also realized that it's okay to be judged, because those people don't know me, really. They only know what they're seeing, and then they're making judgments based on that. And honestly, being seen has led me to have great conversations and connections with strangers, you know, and I appreciate that. And on top of that, the posting videos of myself online has allowed me to be more confident offline, because I'm vulnerable and opening myself up to judgment, hate, mean comments, love, opportunities, and more. You know, some of my favorite brands have reposted or liked or commented on videos that I have made on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And that's something that I never thought I would say, because I had always envied people and was like, how do they do it? But then I stopped saying how they do it and just started doing it. And I realized that I was in my own way. You know, I had wanted to film these videos when I was in middle school. I had came together with a couple people and I said, hey guys, let's start this channel together, combining all our names together and making a channel. And we were all going to talk about different segments, right? And then unfortunately, what I realized is that it didn't happen, because maybe I was insecure, maybe I was making excuses. And I had a lot of, you know, in middle school there's a lot to be insecure about, I think, because of the way that kids act. And ultimately, I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for the timeline that I got there, because now that I have this experience, this year will make 2 years of posting online, and I have so many ideas that I want to share with the world and with people. And even right now I'm doing this series and I haven't even had a second to really edit the videos, but I'm so excited to put them together, because I know that right now my focus may be split and focus on my daily videos, but I do know in the back of my head that that Dare series is still on my mind, and I can't wait to share every opportunity that I've had and gotten to experience with my friends. And speaking of just getting things that you want after reaching the other side of fear, I met this really cool girl when I was going to this concert, and I had an extra ticket because my friend couldn't make it anymore. So I was just out in front of the venue asking people, hey, are you going to the concert tonight? Can I upgrade your seat? Like, would you want to upgrade your seat? They're like, they have seats, and I move on. And then I ran into this one girl like 10 minutes before the show, and it was so cool because she was from a place where my family was from, Alabama, and it was just so cool because I was like, okay, and maybe it was meant to be, like, maybe I was meant to have my other friend cancel and meet her, because now we're gonna be able to hang out, and like now I'm gonna be able to have a new friend, as compared to experiences earlier this year I've had where someone wanted to hang out and we made plans and then they just ghosted me. That was quite the difference, because now we've made plans and actually seen each other, and made plans and are looking forward to them, you know what I mean? And even if people cancel, I think that's okay, but communication is ultimately key. But I'm saying all that to say that the fear of being seen was probably the hardest fear that I had to get over with or get over. And I'm thankful for her because I think that the amount of good that can come out of it outweighs the amount of bad that can come from it. And what I was thinking to myself was like, you know what? Even if people leave mean comments, like there was one person who left a comment on one of my videos that I posted talking about the World Cup and if Ariana Grande was rooting for any teams, which I have the right to inquire about that. It's just it's my video. It's not like I'm killing anybody, not hurting anyone. And they were like, no one gives a fuck. And I said, I actually didn't say anything. I just deleted it because I'm like, this is not even your page. If you don't give a fuck, then why would you comment, right? You gave a fuck enough to type in that and then post it. And I should have blocked them, but at the same time, I'm like, bye, just remove the comment because this is my page. If you want to make videos and talk about your opinions, then go do it. But I think that's the thing about the internet is that people have this audacity to say stuff online and behind closed doors. But if they were in person, I feel like they would not have the balls and the gall and the audacity to be saying half the stuff that they're saying. And so that's why I have to just remember to take things with a grain of salt. Now, sometimes I think it is fun to be a troll online, especially when people are really testing you, mainly because people should stop expecting others to just be walked all over by them and be okay with it. It's not... I wish the video people could see right now, this setup, me and the cat. She's just lounging on my legs and being pet, and I love it. Because it only met her a few days ago, but, you know, I'm glad that I did an orientation with her, so we hung out for a few hours and she was able to get more comfortable with me because I knew that I'd be coming in to feed her, give her medicine, and then also clean her litter box. So, yeah, but I think being afraid and being fearful is not as bad as it seems because it's a natural thing, and I think it means that you care. And ultimately, yeah, I was scared to go to the soccer thing. I love soccer. Why was I scared? I almost thought about turning around and not even going. But you know what? I said, no, I'm going to go because I want to go, and I like soccer, and I haven't played in a long time, and I miss playing. And this is an opportunity to do it for free. And also, the World Cup is here in Seattle right now. I just wanted to really bask in the energy and the celebration and the vibes of everything, and I thought that that was a beautiful opportunity to do so, and I can't wait to continue facing my fears and doing things that scare me and growing, because Tiera from December of last year to Tiera now has done so much, and I'm ready to even do more. I'm ready to challenge myself even more and do better and bigger things because I understand that just because I've done one amazing thing or a couple amazing things doesn't mean that it's over, and just because I've done things that I'm scared of doesn't mean that that's also ending. So I think, oh shoot, there's like some fur in my eye, I think. It's not over. I think I'm gonna keep chasing things that scare me because it makes it so much more rewarding when you can conquer it. And speaking of the biggest thing that scares me, it's like I reached out to RM Beauty and I was like, hey, you know, I would love to go to one of the concerts. So basically I offered them like one reel, one video in exchange for invite to the Eternal Sunshine Tour, because I've seen them take plenty of creators and digital creators and online content people to the shows, and I thought, well, the worst they can say is no, or the worst they can say is nothing. But I was so scared of how to approach it, and if I could find their email, and if I could do this and do that. And in reality, I just ended up taking time, and I wasn't even able to send that big of a message because Instagram limits you. So I just sent the message and I said, okay, if they see it, great. If they don't, I tried, and it doesn't stop anything. I just still got to keep going, and yeah. But that's all for this month's episode. That is all for this month's episode. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. As far as what I should talk about, maybe starting to have guests on the show. I'm trying to get in the groove of posting and seeing what it feels like to have a podcast before I bring guests on the show, because I'm definitely ready to have guests on the show mentally, but physically the processes are maybe not there. But either way, thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in to the All That Noise podcast, hosted by me, Tiera White. You can support the All That Noise podcast by following us on your listening platform and on social media at All That Noise Pod. Special thanks to Zen Wisdom for the music, licensed through BeatStars. Catch you in the next one.